Hey guys, so today we are going to talk a little bit about job interviews for juniors. So let's get into it. Now, yesterday I was speaking to our technical recruiter or our HR representative, the person in essence that is responsible for recruiting new talents and things of this nature. And basically he was telling me about this junior developer who had come into their meeting, and after just a few minutes of talking started off by saying that he had undertook 150 job interviews without getting a job. And from that moment on, he was dead in the waters, and everything else pretty much became a formality. And we kind of joked about that. That's a very weird thing to start off the conversation with. And that's something that I think we need to talk a little bit about, guys, at least for the people out there who may be looking for your first job as a software developer. It doesn't actually have to be just a software developer. It can be any job in general. Guys, the idea that I think we need to say this out loud just to have it said. Guys, the person on the other side of that desk when you are in a job interview is not your friend. It doesn't matter how good of a time you have, doesn't matter how nice they seem. Their job is at that moment in time to figure out whether or not you will bring contributions and remember, not just if you will bring value and contribution to the specific company that you are applying to, but are you better than the other 100 people they've spoken to? Because don't kid yourself, they've talked to more people than just you. It's very, very likely that they have. And if you are in the situation where you then say things that are inappropriate, or if you do things such as stating something like that, even if it is true, just think about that. What did you just communicate? Well, 150 interviews without getting a call back, that basically communicates that you are, well, from that person's perspective, that basically says that you're incompetent, or that there's something very wrong with you, or that your skills are not on par with what's expected by most of the industry. So I urge you, like, I'm not saying that you should lie about this stuff, but I'm saying that if somebody can come out and say something like that, they haven't really thought so much about how they are perceived by other people. What they're stating is what is communicated. Because the thing is, guys, there's a fine line between being transparent and being stupid. And that, because the thing is, if I'm sorry to say, but things are colored by quite a lot of factors when you're in a job interview. I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, we would like everybody to be completely objective, because just because you've been turned down for 150 interviews, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are incompetent per se, but that is the assumption that people will make. And people make assumptions because the thing is, guys, the interview process is not objective. It has never been objective. And that's the thing. It's not about being fair. I know that there's this really weird idealistic idea out there on the internet these days, and a lot of people seems to hop onto this train where you seem to believe that the world is about being fair and that you should be treated fairly. Nobody gives a shit about you. I can promise you that. I can promise you that they don't give a shit. Because as I said, the focus when you are in that interview is not you. They don't care about you. They care about the value that you can provide to the company, and they're there to determine whether or not that value is high enough. They will care about you the second that you get hired. Then you are going to start to matter, because now they have invested in you. Now you are a resource that they are tapping into, something that they depend on. And your value in the company goes upwards the longer you stay, or the more value you accumulate. And that's another video. But there's no employer out there who is going to, well, at least not from what I can see, it's very rare that an employer just off the bat is going to listen to a person or to consider you fairly. Because as I said, this idea of being fair is completely, every company has their own company values, and that's what we call being a culture fit. A culture fit, that's just another way of saying that, all right, you have this sort of personality and the traits that they value in that specific company. Once again, that is extremely unfair, because that basically comes down to you as an individual. But once again, guys, what type of world are you living in if you think that being fair is something that just is going to be given to you, or rather that's a norm? Nobody's fair, and it's not about being fair. It's about getting the people that align with the way that they want to run their company. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you have the mindset that you're going to go in and be completely 100% transparent about everything in a job interview, you may rethink, you should probably rethink that. I'm not saying that you should lie to anybody, because that's not what it's about. It's about understanding how a interviewing process actually works and what is valuable information to the company, what they're trying to figure out. In other words, to understand the mindset of the people doing their hiring, and presenting the things that you are really good at as well as you can. Just presenting the facts. What do you know? How good are you at these things? What type of person are you? What are you going to bring to the company or bring to the table? And so forth, and simply not touching all that much on things that may actually damage your chances to get a job. And that comes back to something that I've talked about quite a few times, and that is to understand your own market value, because your market value does factor in when you're looking for a job. And that's like, there's tons and tons of videos that I've made where I state different things that increases or decreases market value, everything from being self-taught versus having an official education, to knowing relevant tools, to being good at coding tests. Like, all of these different things factor in when people are making an assessment of your personal value. And that's the thing that you're going for, guys. When you're looking for a job, especially as a junior, you have almost no market value. So everything comes down to you being able to prove that you are a good investment for that company. And that comes down to both a mix of transparency and being a good culture fit. So remember that when you're in that job interview, the interviewer is not there to be your friend. No matter how charming they are, their intention at that moment in time is to figure out if you are worth the hassle. Have a great day.